Good day. Welcome to part two of Talking Fish. And have I got a treat for you today? I'm at the home of a good friend, William Smallwood. And I just found out from his inner circle that he lives like he's in a fishbowl. Talking about a fish lover. Good day, William. How you been?
Yeah, pretty good.
So, is it true that you really have a love for fish?
Yeah, they're I like fish. Different, all the different varieties of them in the with the freshwater fish mainly.
Okay. So, when did this love for fish first blossom?
I did have an Oscar fish many years ago, but then things changed and I got out of fish, and I've only just got back into them the last three years.
Okay. Now, look. Forgive me, but you said an Oscar fish. Is that a fish that won the Oscars?
No,
What
no,
is that?
no. It's an aggressive cichlid.
An aggressive cichlid?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because I was speaking to the owner of A1 Aquarium, and he said that he liked the fighting
Fighter fish.
fighter fish.
Yeah.
And now I meet you, and you like the aggressive Oscars?
Oh, I had one, but I don't have them anymore. I have lots of fish, but I don't have them at the moment.
Okay, well, I was told that most of the time when people first start getting fish, they start with a goldfish, and now you're telling me your first fish was an Oscar. Now, how did that come to be? I still don't understand.
A friend of mine had a 5 foot tank that he didn't want anymore. He previously had Oscars, and that's how I got the one that I had. And it after a couple of years, it died. And yeah, that's a long time ago though.
Okay, so what type of fish did you get after the Oscar?
Yeah, well, they're the ones that I've got back into it the last 3 years, and that's tropical fish and cichlids, and I've got goldfish as well,
Okay.
and a lot of I've got other fish, other species of fish as well.
Now, rumor has it that you own this really big dog that looks like a Siberian wolf. Is that true?
Yeah.
Like on your shirt.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Okay, so where is the dog actually from?
It's from Alaska. It's an Alaskan Malamute.
Okay, Alaskan Malamute. And does it cost you a considerable amount of money to feed this big dog, or not?
Yeah, it's a reasonable amount, but she doesn't really eat a whole lot, a lot of food. A couple of 25 kilo bags. I don't know, a month.
Okay, well that's
A
interesting.
bag a month maybe. Yeah.
Okay, well that's interesting. But remember, we're here today because we're talking fish. We're not talking about the dogs too much, but talking about fish. Now I know you have both. So, which one is more expensive to feed? The fish or the dog?
Um, the fish.
The fish.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you say that? You must have a lot of fish to feed.
Yeah. There's a lot of fish.
So how many fish do you actually have?
I couldn't tell.
Approximately.
I couldn't tell you. There would be hundreds.
Hundreds. Now, I was talking to, I won't say who it was, but I was talking to a member of your inner circle. That doesn't include family members. But they told me that each night before you go to bed, you go and have a look at every fish. And when you wake up in the morning, you go and visit every fish that you have in the morning. Is that true?
I feed them. I feed all of them in the morning, and then at night. Plus, some of the tanks I turn the lights off in them at
Okay.
night.
So, do you find that the fish are therapeutic in some way? Do you find that they relax you? Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, fish going through the water, it makes me feel relaxed and tranquil." Do you find that fish make you feel relaxed?
Yeah, they are pretty much like that. Yeah, just watching them. Sometimes they uh, fight between each other, and other times they're just swimming like a school of fish. So yeah, they do relax you a bit. Yeah, between them and the dog.
Okay. Well, what do you do when you kind of observing your fish and you see them fighting? What do you do? I mean, do you try to break it up, or do you just sit back and applaud the fight inside the tank?
Sometimes there can be a really aggressive one in there, and you have to move that fish to another tank on its own. Otherwise, they can kill other fish.
Would you recommend a fish lover like yourself? Would you recommend a giving fish as a pet to younger people or people who are in aged care? Have you ever thought about giving someone a gift of a fish?
Um,
Do you think it teaches people anything?
yeah, well, responsibility. I suppose it would, because you have to make sure that they're fed every day, the water temperature, and a whole lot of things. All the parameters in the water to keep them alive, and all of those things gives you, make makes you makes you have to have responsibility for them. Um, and they can, they can be calming for some, for maybe for old people as well.
Okay. Now, okay. So you have these about approximately 148 fish, and this is a tricky question. Do you feel like sometimes that those fish know who you are? I mean, like you see them every day and every night. Do you feel like you have some type of connection with them? Like you feel like you want to say hello or good morning or good night? Or we're talking fish here.
They know. They know when they see you in the morning that you're coming to feed them, and they'll all come to the top ready for their food. At night, not so much, because they've going to sleep.
Well, it's not very good to eat meals just before going to bed. You know that. So why would you feed the fish meals before you go to bed? I mean, look, does it work like that, or do fish just like to eat at any time you give it to them?
Uh, I I normally feed my fish probably for 2 to 4 hours before the sun goes down. Otherwise, they're not that interested in it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that in this conversation, while we're talking fish, you have not once complained about the fish maintenance. It's almost like you accept that's a part of owning the fish, is looking after them. Is that a good description? You feel good about the maintenance of it? I mean, or do you feel guilty when if you ignore them for like 2 or 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, I've I've never not forgot to feed them, but maybe in the morning, if I haven't fed them, I make sure I've fed them by the first feed by lunchtime, and they they seem to cope with that okay. And but the maintenance, there is a fair bit of time putting into the maintenance, doing water changes and stuff like that. But it's good to see. It's good to see them later after you do that, how the fish will respond to that, and you can see that they pick up
Okay.
from the new water. Yeah.
And lastly, have you ever gone away for like maybe 3 or 4 days, and while you're away, you start thinking, I wonder how the fish are going. I wonder who's feeding my fish. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Well, that's called separation anxiety. So, a dog, if you leave a dog alone, he goes crazy if he's left alone. He'll tear the cushions out the chairs and let you know he's pretty upset that you left him alone. But a fish, you won't know whether or not they're feeling any anxiety, but you're telling me you feel the anxiety if you're away from the fish 2 or 3 days because you start wondering who's looking after the fish.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I've always organised someone to come and feed them in the meantime, but you are thinking about that, hoping that you don't have too many fatalities by the time you get home.
Okay. You are a true fish lover, and yes, you're not exactly living in a fish bowl, but I can see why some people might get that impression. I'm here with William Smallwood, part 2 of Talking Fish, brought to you by A1 Aquarium World, Rossville Shopping Center, Cranbrook. You can find it. Just go down Charles Street. Thanks for your time, William, and have a fishy day.